You were tuned in to G5 Jeff TV. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button as you come on in. This is an unexpected live, but if you are tuning in, get some of this good boxing talk that's going down. We got a big day of fights. Okolie versus Glowacki. We got Beterbiev versus Deines. And we also have Virgil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker, amongst a host of other fights on the undercards. Depending on where you are, whether you're in the UK, you in the States, it's going to be an all-day thing. It's an all-day thing. And, of course, you know, I got the VP with me. Shane, what's going on, bro?
Everything's all good, man. Had a successful week. The channel had a successful week. So
yeah, very successful week. Very successful week. Big shout out to Ngabu for coming on the channel. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to Coach Padman McGriff. Big shout out to him as well. Big shout out to Cruz Hitman Stewart. We got a big week next week too. We just gotta figure out dates and times, finalize some things, and we'll be able to take it from there. But let's get into these fights, man. Like Okolie and Glowacki, we talked about that a little bit when Ngabu and Coach was on. What's your thoughts on this fight? Who you think is going to win the fight? How you think it's going to go?
I think it's a good fight. I definitely feel like it's a good fight. I definitely feel like it's a good fight in terms of Okolie's career. He's seen as probably the best British prospect right now. Britain's been taking a lot of L's, so he's probably the one to try and brighten up the mood right now. And I feel like he's got a good chance. I feel like he's caught Glowacki at the right time. I feel like if he caught him maybe 2-3 years earlier, it would have been a bit too early. And then maybe if you caught him maybe just before the Breeders' fight, would have been a perfect time. But now it's probably on the side of Okolie. But I'm still expecting a bit of drama, you know, because Okolie's very inexperienced and Glowacki's experienced. But I think Okolie will get it done, and I think he will stop him.
Yeah, I think Okolie's going to stop him as well. I don't know how much drama is going to be in the fight, but I would say I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say 6.
6 rounds?
Yep, I'm going to say 6 rounds.
I mean, personally, and this is the thing, obviously if Okolie wins, he becomes world champion. We're going to get into that in a second because I'm more annoyed about that than anything. But just on the surface of things, I actually feel like Okolie is actually a good fighter. He's a really good fighter. And Glowacki, he's not what he used to be, but he also lost his chin. You know, a lot of people, you know Glowacki from before, you know, he was able to take a lot of damage in the Usyk fight. He took a lot of damage even in the first Hook fight, even though he got dropped. But then ever since then, you know, I watched the fight, especially the Breeders' fight. He got hit with a good shot and got dropped, got knocked out. And it's very easy to get hurt. And one thing I realized about Polish fighters, they have this thing where because they're so up and down, their chin is very flexible. Like Kaunaki's one of those and Suleki's one of those where when they get hit on the chin flush, their whole body dances with their chin. Like their chin is very flexible. Like if you touch it, it doesn't absorb the shot as good as other countries do.
Yeah, it's Glowacki. The one thing I can say about somebody that's known for having a graded chin, if the chin keeps on getting tested over the course of time, it's going to diminish over the course of time. It's you know, it's just like with anything else. There's going to be some depreciation, you know. So with his chin, you know, with his chin being a issue, that's why I'm saying 6. I don't know how much drama is going to be in effect.
I think he still carries a lot of power, and because he's a southpaw, I won't say anything earlier than 6. It'll take Okolie a long time to get used to that southpaw style. I know Okolie's not naturally aggressive, whilst he still has the dimensions, him being 6'7" and having a good reach, he's not naturally aggressive. And a southpaw backing you up could mean you can land the right hand, but it also could mean if your feet ain't in the right place, you kind of get tangled up and you end up punching across your body. And because Glowacki he's experienced and he knows exactly how to avoid the right shots. He knows what he's doing. So I do agree with you. It'll take Okolie a while to get used to things.
Yeah, and Glowacki will be able to get away with that for the first like 2-3 rounds. He'll be able to get away with that. Pretty much after that, I'm expecting Okolie to kind of just turn it up a little bit. Offensively.
Make youth be on the side a bit more. I know what you mean. Like just start being a bit more youthful, being a bit more fast. And
it's kind of like when Yard fought Arthur. You was expecting for Yard to kind of just turn it up, just that youthful energy, and he just never did. I think it's going to be one of those situations where Okolie's going to just land a money shot like he did on Ngannou, but I think this time around, I think the stoppage is probably going to be warranted versus what happened with Ngannou. That was a bad stoppage, and I'm not just saying that because Ngannou was on the show. He's my best friend now, but that was a bad stop. I literally watched it after he was on live, and the thing that's crazy, I'm like, yes, was his legs gone a little bit? Yes. Was he backing up into the ropes? Yes. The referee could have did everything but stop the fight.
He could have given him a standing count.
Yeah, he could have given him a standing 8 because the ropes.
Kell Brook fought Terence Crawford the other day. Kell Brook didn't drop, but the referee gave him a standing count.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think referees are hesitant to give standing 8s. I don't know why, because the rule is very clear. If the ropes stop the person from going down, then you can give him a standing 8. Or if you feel like he's in trouble and it warrants a standing 8, you can give him a standing 8. Like, the rule is very clear. Very few referees take advantage of it, because if you give him a standing 8, it's a 10-8 round, basically, unless something else happens. And then pretty much after that, if he's okay, then he's going to continue to fight. He's going to continue to fight regardless. So you can take advantage of a standing 8 count to really evaluate a fighter. And referees just don't do that enough. That's the main reason why I said the Ngannou stoppage was bullshit. But that's not Okolie's fault, though. That's not Okolie's fault. And it's not his fault.
What I want to get to is how on earth this is for. And I said this earlier today. If Okolie wins, whilst I give him all the credit, to me he's a paper champion. He's a paper champion.
Yeah, this is not no real. Yeah, I don't. You know that, and I know that. A lot of the hardcores know that. It's just, and we have to do that as hardcore fans. We have to almost override the sanctioning bodies. And
because we have to be consistent.
Yeah,
it's not even because it's the WBO. Like, the people disregard the WBO. I'm not one of those people. It's purely and simply because because Glowacki's not a champion. And not because they're fighting for a vacant belt, because you can fight for a vacant belt, but it's why the belt was vacant. Deines obviously was the WBO champion, and he was stripped of his belt because he signed for the World Boxing Super Series, and he can't fulfill his mandatory. But the reason why I was annoyed was because in the heavyweight division, there hasn't been a mandatory defense since 2017 when Joseph Parker fought Hughie Fury. But they allowed Joshua to keep his strap. But Deines, who has fought much more recent than Glowacki, was stripped of his belt because he wasn't able to fight Glowacki. It doesn't make sense to me, because what you could have easily done was to let Deines keep the belt, because for the last 2 years you've missed out on 2 years sanctioning fees. Just to let the fans know, for the last 2 years, the WBO have missed out on 2 years sanctioning fees, and during that time, they've ended up stripping Bradis of a belt because he couldn't fight a mandatory. But what I don't understand is why do you let him keep the belt and say after you fight Dorticos, you have to fight Glowacki? Because it's not like Glowacki's fighting anybody else. He's fighting 2 years after they made him mandatory. So really and truly, they might as well just let him keep the belt and fight for an interim title, or if anything, do what he's done already. Because it's not like that title elevated Glowacki in any favor. All it done is change Glowacki's opponent and made it an easier opponent. That's all they really done. They just literally removed the champion from having his own belt and gave a opponent an easier chance to win a title. I just find that ridiculous. I find that ridiculous.
Well, when it comes down to their own rules, WBO, you can say that stands for we be optional. You know what I'm saying? It's just you see this with all of the sanctioning bodies. They pick and choose. I say it all the time. I'm like, they write their rules in pencil. Depends. Their rules apply to. It depends on who you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? The way rules are applied for one person may not be the same for, another fighter. And that's why I feel like we have the opportunity to control the narrative in terms of who the boxing public perceives as the champions and the ones that are not really the champions. You take Tank Davis. He's a perfect example. Somebody will try to say he's trying to win a third title in a third different weight class. We know that's bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So except for arguing with the sanctioning bodies, we can just continue to come on our own platforms and say, hey, listen, that's not accurate. And then our job is to check whoever says that is accurate. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's the most that you can do in terms of just not only creating the correct narrative, but really fighting a wrong narrative as well. But that's an ongoing fight that's never going to end. You only can really control what you can control. But that's the main reason why, if Okolie wins this fight, I wouldn't consider him like an actual champion because there's like a whole backstory behind it. Like I need Okolie to actually go fight somebody else to actually prove to me that he is a legit, champion. And again, it's not his fault. Like you got to blame the sanctioning body. It's not his fault. We're not saying that, trying to be dismissive of Okolie or Glowacki. You know what I'm saying? This was the sanctioning body's doing, and this is what happens in the sport of boxing. But I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's definitely going to be a good fight. But I just think the money shot coming. I think the money shot is coming, and eventually Okolie's going to land that money shot. The one thing I will say though is if he gets impatient, this fight can get really ugly in terms of like a bad fight to watch. You know what I mean? This would be a bad style matchup to watch on TV. But we got our guy Artur Beterbiev going to be fighting today. Defending his 175-pound titles against Adam Deines. I did a breakdown of prediction video on the channel. I had somebody from Russia actually respond to it. But give me your thoughts on that, Shane. I'm listening. Go ahead.
I think it's an easy fight for Beterbiev, to be honest. Really and truly, certain people, they struggle to find power after being out of the ring for so long and find that money shot. Beterbiev isn't one of those people because he generates power from every punch he throws, from any distance he throws a punch from. So, with that being said, I'm just looking at it like all Beterbiev really needs to do is make sure he goes in there, avoid any complications, don't rush his work, and make sure he lands punches. And I just can't see. I literally just can't see anything. You have to be extraordinary to beat Beterbiev, and he's not extraordinary. I just see it as how fast instead of what the result is. I just see how fast is it going to be. I mean, I could easily see Beterbiev knocking him out in the first round. I could easily see it. What really and truly, I want to know what happens next for Beterbiev. I probably have an idea, but I mean, in terms of this fight itself, I just think it's a formality, full-blown formality. Literally, just how fast is Beterbiev going to do? Beterbiev's a monster. He's an absolute monster. You know, we've seen Beterbiev hurt before, but we've seen Beterbiev knock guys out clean. And you have to be extraordinary to beat Beterbiev.
Yeah, I feel like, and that's exactly what I said in the breakdown and prediction video. I'm like, Adam's gonna have to, like, whatever his A game is, he's gonna have to be A plus plus. And like, let me explain this to the people real quick. Shane is busy, so Shane doesn't watch any of my regular videos unless I shoot it to him. I'll be like, yo, you might want to check this out. So he didn't hear my actual breakdown and prediction video. I literally said for Adam to have a chance in this fight, you got to take the Mike Tyson famous catchphrase. Everybody has a game plan until you get punched in your mouth. I'm like, what's going to happen when you get punched in your mouth by, in my eyes, the hardest puncher in the sport, in Artur Beterbiev. And just because I say he's the hardest puncher in the sport, that doesn't have to be one punch knockout power. Like, it can just be a guy that just has shots that thudding, it changes a person's game plan. And that's what happens.
I think it changes people's mentality, because it goes from killer to survivor. That's what it does. Yeah. His power turns a killer into a survivor.
And that's the thing. I didn't have to put the lab coat on or anything for this fight. I'm like, I just have one question. I'm like, what is Adam Deines going to do once Artur Beterbiev puts some paws on him? Is your game plan going to be the same, or is your game plan going to change? Are you going to go into win mode, or are you going to go into survival mode? That's really the biggest question in this fight. In both ways, he's getting knocked out. Both ways, he's getting knocked out. It don't matter what it is, he's going to get knocked out.
I mean, it seems like, and it looks like they're just going to, Joe Smith's supposed to be fighting Vlasov, which is pretty interesting because
that's a good fight.
That's a good fight. Actually fought Vlasov before, which is actually quite, like, brings it full circle. But obviously, the winner of that is obviously going to fight Beterbiev.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's top rank. Top rank's going to keep the fight in house.
Yeah, so as they should, and that's what they supposed to do.
What do you? I think Joe Smith beats Vlasov. I think Joe Smith's just a bit too powerful for him in terms of his actual single punch power. And Vlasov, his come forward style against someone that hard hitting, just again, it's just him knocking you out and how fast he is. But again, who do you think wins between Joe Smith and Beterbiev? Because Joe Smith has a granite chin. Joe Smith has a granite chin.
Yeah, he has a granite chin. I just think Beterbiev wins the fight. I think when them two fight, depending on it would be top 5 fight of the year candidate for sure. Yeah. I just think Beterbiev is just going to get the better of Joe Smith in a war. And the thing that's crazy, I think if Joe Smith had better feet, like going in reverse, I might even pick Joe Smith. But the fact that he doesn't have really great feet in reverse, it'd be the reason why he loses that fight. I just think he would lose a shootout. You're not going to beat Beterbiev in a shootout.
You know what I see happening? And this is the problem. A lot of the time when I see Joe Smith fight, and I saw it in the Barrera fight, but I especially saw it in the Bivol fight, especially the later rounds, like 11 and 12, when people start going aggressive against him, and he doesn't get his attacks off. He tends to put up that high guard, and he lets guys tee off on him a bit too much. And the problem is against Beterbiev, you can't really do that.
Yeah, but he hasn't. You haven't really seen that since the Bivol fight, actually.
No, we haven't.
A lot less.
But to be fair, we haven't seen a person
bring it to him either. Yeah.
Yeah, like I haven't seen. I mean, even Alida Alvarez, he's a guy who's looking for singles. He's not putting them together. But
Alida Alvarez he's the laziest fighter in the sport. Like he's the laziest fighter in the sport offensively. He has so much skill, and he's the one person that actually throws less than Broner, in my opinion. Like he literally throws singles. Like that's it. Like you won't ever see him throw a 3-punch combination. Period. The only time you see him throw more than 2 punches is when he got a guy in trouble.
Literally.
So
And
I think Joe Smith, he was my most improved fighter of the year last year. It's a lot of subtle things that he's done with his game to improve his game. And he doesn't walk into the front door without a jab. He doesn't walk into the front door without throwing. He's actually very good at actually throwing shots just to close the distance. He's becoming very good at that.
I actually feel like that Bivol fight baptized him. Like he learned so much about how far he was away. Like Joe says it himself. He's never fought anyone as skilled as Bivol, and he learned so much about that fight that he ended up improving so much of his game. And a loss can do that to you. A loss can make you go back to the drawing board.
Somebody, somebody, basically shuts you out, and you were one of the upper echelon guys. Like, it makes you go back to the drawing board. But the thing was, when they went back to the drawing board, they added subtle things. They didn't try to change his entire style. Like, take a Jared Swift Hurd. They're trying to change his entire style. I don't like that. Because I'm like, you're kind of trying to convince a killer not to be a killer. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, Jared Hurd's a killer. It's just you got to kind of change how he goes about it in a certain way. And you can tell Jared Hurd in his last fight, he wasn't fighting Jared Hurd. Like, he was thinking his way through the fight. And you don't want, that's how you know somebody's changing their style too much. Like, you want it to just naturally flow. And Joe Smith was able to change his style. Joe Smith was able to change his style up a little bit and still be Joe Smith. And that's the epitome of what a good trainer.
The only problem, though, is when he fights Beterbiev, and again, his trainer done a very good job, Joe Smith. But when he fights Beterbiev, I just feel like he's going to get hit with shots. And the thing is, he's got power. He's got so much power as well. So I actually feel like he'll get success. But I feel like because he has power, that's going to be the problem. Because I still feel like when Beterbiev feels that power, he's going to be like, okay, this guy's got power. This guy hits hard. So I'm going to fight him very responsible. And a responsible Beterbiev is a person who applies pressure without getting hit. And that's the problem. And he's a person who will walk you down, wait for you to throw a shot, and then as soon as you miss with your shot, he's going to light you up. And the problem with that is Joe Smith doesn't throw a lot of punches when he's going backwards, as you said. His reverse game ain't as good as it needs to be to beat someone like a Beterbiev.
Yeah, and if I had to pick somebody to, like, if you ask me who's the better technical boxer, I would say is Beterbiev, and it just gets lost in the shuffle because he has so much power. But I think he got a nice base to him when it comes down to just technical boxing ability. The most dangerous fighter in the sport is a person with power and they can box. That's the most dangerous fighter in the sport. And that's what made Kovalev so good for so many years. But Beterbiev, if he wins today, he's looking at possibly Joe Smith, Bivol, and then possibly, maybe a Zerto, maybe a Benavidez if he moves up. Beterbiev next 3 fights should be killers. His next 3 fights should be killers over the next 24 months. It should be nothing but killers. His next 3 to 4 fights. And it'll probably be his last 3 to 4 fights because he's 36?
I thought he was 35, but maybe he's 36.
I think he's 36. So, I mean, that'll take him to 38, 39. Like, I would say probably 1 big fight a year for the next.
Beterbiev did say he wants to become undisputed. So,
that's cool.
And he's 2 fights away from it. And the most important thing is, I feel like the guys who he's fighting do want to fight him as well. So,
so I think all of them. And Bivol needs a big fight. Joe Smith deserves a big fight. Zerto deserves a big fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's all lined up for 175 to really come together. And you know, the guys at 175 that's on the other side of the street, you know, you got guys like Pascal and like Badu Jack,
Marcus,
like
Marcus Brown.
Marcus Brown. Like, I mean, at some point, Al Heyman is gonna have to take certain guys and just, you know, send them across the street, kind of like what he did with Danny Jacobs. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
mean,
it's just better for all parties.
Even Benavides,
Yeah,
like
even
Benavides,
Benavidez. Yeah, Benavidez is
he'll be with PBC.
yeah. So I think it's a lot of action for the PBC guys if Al Heyman signs off on it, but that's the key. Is he gonna sign off on it?
But
And
there's
it's
not a lot of action when you think about it, because Badu Jack already fought Marcus Brown, and the only other person
yeah,
that is left to fight
it's
is and Jean Pascal already
agreed.
fought Badu Jack. So
Agreed.
that they've already fought,
I'm talking
and
about
Pascal already fought Marcus
that's why I
Brown.
said
So
they got
they've
to cross
already
the
fought
street.
each other.
That's why I said they got to cross the street. That's why I said they got to cross the street because they don't have any action if it's just PBC. Period. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, Al Heyman has to literally make the decision. Hey, do I send these guys across the street? He could literally send all three of them across the street, and they can really bring back a lot of money. Like the one thing I noticed about Heyman, it just got to make it has to make business sense. It has to make business sense for him. It not only the money, but he has to make sure that he maintains control while funneling the money in. Those are his two main things. If one of those two are compromised, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like he did it with Danny Jacobs because he believed he was gonna get a Canelo fight, which is the ultimate bag. So he knew it was gonna be beneficial for him to do that. You know what I'm saying? So and then Danny Jacobs wasn't tied to any network either. You know what I mean? So it was easier for
And
him
you
to
also
do
have to
that.
remember that when he signed off for Danny Jacobs, Eddie Hearn was still his business was mainly still in Britain. So it's easy for him to do that because Eddie Hearn was willing to front the bill. So Al Heyman's getting advisory money, but Eddie Hearn's the one paying. So I ain't even losing no money. I'm not losing any money on it. So it didn't really make a difference.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So it's gonna be interesting to see, you know, how they played it out. But Beterbiev has set himself up real nice. And I also said in the breakdown, the prediction video, I was a little out under normal circumstances, I would have been worried that Beterbiev is coming off of a 1.5 year layoff. But Adam Deines is actually coming off of a longer layoff. So by like a month. So I'm like, it really doesn't even matter, you know, because I'm like
I want to watch the
Beterbiev.
fight though. I really want to watch the fight though. I keep it real. I want to watch the fight because
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to watch the fight,
Absolutely.
man.
And then Beterbiev is fighting at home too. So you know that's always a factor because not all guys fight the same at home. You know, some people can handle it, some people can. I think that's probably the biggest backstory of the fight. If Beterbiev is able to handle fighting at home, I think he should be you know, he should be good to go. But we had a little bit of drama yesterday. Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Maurice Hooker. Maurice Hooker weighed in at 147. Virgil Ortiz weighed in at 147.6. He came back. I think it wasn't that much longer after that, and he weighed in at 147. And I know I got hit up and I got asked. I ain't gonna say who, because it was a actual sub, but they said, why didn't I do a video on Virgil Ortiz missing weight? And they said a lot of people in the media is not doing any videos on Virgil Ortiz missing weight. If it was Tank Davis or if it was Adrian Broner or somebody like that, they would have did videos or articles. I want to address that really quick before we get into the actual particulars as far as the fight is concerned.
Keep going. I'm coming. Keep going.
No problem. My response to that is they said mainstream media, and it was more than just that person that messaged me. It was I seen several people making posts. I seen several people that made videos, and they was just like, yo, like, why is mainstream media not making videos about Virgil Ortiz? And for me, I'm like, I'm like, when I got hit up, it literally was like maybe like an hour after the weigh-in, and I'm like, yo, I'm like, it just happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
it just happened. I'm like, I didn't have any time to even respond to it. I still haven't responded to it until right now. The second thing is they said mainstream media. So I'm thinking they're probably talking Mike Coppinger, they're probably talking Dan Rayfield, Steve Kim, who else? Dougie Fisher, guys like that. And I'm like, I don't follow what they're doing. And that's no disrespect to them because they're doing something that a lot of us boxing fans would love to do, is to actually make a living covering the sport we love and not have to worry about the financials. So, you know, it's no disrespect to any of those guys, them names I mentioned, or any of the other person that's considered mainstream media, like Radio Raheem, Ellie Setback, guys like that. You know, it's no disrespect to them. I just don't follow what they do. And I really don't care what narrative they push, because I'm like, the day I created G5 Jeff TV is the day I stopped caring about their narrative. I signed up to create my own narrative. I signed up to make sure that the people that watch this channel knows exactly what's going on. Now, what you do outside of this channel, like, that's your business. But you know, this is a situation where myself, Shane, Blunt, aka BoxingFirst Vlog, and a bunch of other people has set the tone on this channel that we set a certain narrative that's a correct narrative. Like, a weight problem is a weight problem. Like, we don't give a damn what race it is, what the situation is. A weight problem is a weight problem. I can point out black people that's had weight issues. I can point out white people that's had weight issues. Mexicans, Italians, Filipinos, it doesn't matter. I'm like, a person that has weight issues needs to
You
be
think
called out.
you think Ortiz has weight issues?
This is like the second or third time that he's come in, that he's had to weigh in a second time. He's
He
never
doesn't seem
technically missed weight. Huh?
he doesn't seem big to me.
You say it doesn't seem big to you?
No, he doesn't seem big to me. When I smoked him,
Um,
I've seen him alongside other, like for example, Errol Spence seems big to me. He seems massive to me, and
right,
Dennis Ugas seems big to me, and
right,
he seems massive to me.
right.
Virgil Ortiz doesn't seem like, even Ennis seems big to me, but
Yeah,
Ortiz, whilst he's obviously big for the weight, there is no excuse, because when you got someone like Ugas at your weight class, you have no excuse to be missing weight,
yeah.
because you're not Ugas.
Did
Ugas is a giant. So
did you
keep
see
making weight.
his did you see his reasoning
No.
for Ortiz? So he put up a post. He basically said that his scale that he had said that he was a half pound under. And then he said there was like 4 other fighters on that card where their weights were over by, like, you know, half a pound or whatever. And he said he honestly think it was the scale
I've heard that
at
before.
the
I've
venue.
heard that.
Now listen, I've heard that before. Actually, if you're fighting in another guy's hometown, it's pretty well known they're gonna have a scale that's like a half pound off, just to make the guy go cut an extra half a pound. Like, so it's not uncommon. Like, it's kind of, I don't want to call it gamesmanship, but I mean, that's just something that has happened a lot in the sport of boxing. But because boxing's not regulated, it's not regulated. Like, they get away with that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But yes, this is like the second, third time that Virgil Ortiz has had to weigh in a second time. Um, Not all guys with weight issues are the same. And that's the point I really wanted to get across before we get into the actual fight. Virgil Ortiz has had to weigh in twice, like 3 different times. So that's pretty alarming for a 22-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah.
people are comparing it to like Tank and Broner. Tank lost a belt doing that shit. Broner lost a belt doing that shit. You can literally start a bet on whether Broner's going to make weight or Tank is going to make weight at the casinos.
Right.
Like, that's how bad their reputations are when it comes down to actually making weight. And it's because how they look in their off season. It don't have nothing to do with race or nothing like that. Because just like Virgil Ortiz is having weight issues, Tank has weight issues. Then you have Broner, he's had weight issues. But then I can flip it the other way around. There's guys that are physically they're in impeccable shape, and they're not known for having any weight issues, and they've missed weight. Floyd Mayweather missed weight against Marquez. Nobody talks about that. Bernard Hopkins missed weight on a fight. I think it was the Pascal fight, and he had to come back in and actually weigh
But
in
the
again.
same people that are saying that, the reason why I find that crazy is because they're saying that, I'm assuming they're saying that Mexican fighters don't get the same scrutiny or same criticism that black fighters. Are they saying that? Is that what?
Yeah, they're basically saying they were taking a shot at the mainstream media guys because they feel like if it was Tank or Broner, they would have came out with a story or a video sooner.
What about Ruiz? What about when Ruiz was so heavy against Adrian?
We killed him. Yeah, we killed him.
Absolutely ridiculed, and he's a heavy. He doesn't even
and
have
the
to
thing
make
is, and the poster child of missing weight and us killing him for it is Chavez Jr.
Yeah,
we kill him every single time. Mainstream media, non-mainstream media, we all kill him for it. So I'm like, it doesn't matter the color, it doesn't matter the race. If a boxer's having weight problems, they having weight problems.
You think
and
that
as far
affects
as
the fight?
No, Maurice Hook is still getting it don't no. No, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm like, they were taking a shot at mainstream media, and I'm like, if you have a YouTube channel and you have a media company, then if you're watching the mainstream media's every single move, I'm like, that's a problem. That's a problem, because I'm like, I know I'm so busy and you're so busy. I couldn't tell you what the last thing Mike Coppinger did or the last thing Dan Raphael did. I'm like, there's 3 different cards. There's probably 20 something fights between the 3 cards. We got too much to cover to be worried about what Steve Kim and them is doing. And again, it's no disrespect to them. I'm just like, I just don't give them the attention. I don't give them the attention. I'm like, we trying to build our own platform. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you got to leave it up to the people what narrative they want to run with. Our job is to put a narrative out there. You understand what I'm saying? We got to put a narrative out there, and we got to leave it up to the people whether they want to follow our narrative or they want to go somewhere else. You understand what I'm saying? There's some people in media that I feel like they trash. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say no names, but I feel like they trash. When they go live, they got 300, 400, 500 people in their joint. I'm not knocking it. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's what the people are deciding to do. But I'm like, that's why we're in business. That's why we're in business. We're trying to create our own narrative and bring as many people as possible to our channel and to our narrative. But I mean, to get off of that, I think Ortiz still gets the job done. I think I'd say it around 8. I think that was my prediction. I think it was 8. What you think, Shane?
I mean, I think, and what's it called? I think, Scott's gonna get onto me when I say this, because I was saying 1-4 the first time, and I still feel like there's a chance it could be 1-4, but because of how Maurice Hooker fought against Ramirez, I think he's gonna try his best to last longer. I question whether Ramirez wants to win the fight. I think Ramirez actually just wants to look good in the fight and take the fight the distance. I feel like he actually, if he goes for the win, I see him getting knocked out in the first 5 rounds. But if he just goes in there just to be the sparring partner type feel, go in there, make sure you survive self-preservation from the first round, he could last long. He can last long, and I feel like that's something that he might do.
Let me explain to the people as far as the Scott situation. Scott, that's the family. We talk to him all the time as far as like betting tips, things like that. Big shout out to Scott. Definitely family of the channel. I explained to him what you were talking about, because initially, for the people that's listening, Shane, the question was, can Ortiz get Hooker up out of there within 6 rounds? Shane said he think he can get him out of there within 4. But that was a boxing question. I'm like, when you're asking a betting question, that's something completely different. I'm like, what would you put your money on? You got to look at value of the bet, things like that, probabilities and all of that. And I'm like, I said the probability is that he goes beyond 6. But the thing is, I'm like, it's too close of a call to take the bet. It's too close of a call to take the bet. I told him, I said, I'd rather him take the bet.
There's too much things that, like, he can get knocked out in the first 4 rounds. But if I'm betting money,
I wouldn't bet on that.
I feel like there's a chance that Hooker will go in there trying to just survive from round 1. I feel like he would do that. Like,
I don't think so. I don't think he's going to come in and just try to survive. I think he's going to try to establish a game plan in terms of his jab and keep and staying on the move. But I think he's going to try to get something done within the first 4 rounds. You understand what I'm saying? But I don't think he's going to be like running. That's why I said it makes it so difficult, because I think Hooker is going to try to do something offensively. That's what makes the actual question so difficult to answer. If he opens up too much, yes, he can get up out of there in the first 4 rounds. But if he mixes in getting on the inside, trying to get some stuff done and staying defensively responsible, it could be a long night. How
good is Ortiz's feet?
You're not gonna like it. You may like this answer. He's very good. He's very good at cutting off the ring, but I'm not a huge fan of his feet. Let me explain it real quick. So what he does is he will throw a shot, right? And if the guy moves to his right, he'll make sure that he steps the same way just to kind of lock him in place. I love when he does that. He does a great job at doing that. But he does it against lower level guys. But like, does he have really good feet? I haven't seen any scenarios where he really had to show great feet. You know what I'm saying? So I really look at it like, can he cut off the ring?
What bringing up speed?
His speed is solid. It's solid. It's not blazing.
With him being lighter and him being like the type of fighter that he is, long and quite wiry and rangy, do you feel like he'll be trying to take him into deep waters and take the fight quite ugly?
He will. He definitely will.
That's why I'm saying he might survive. He might be trying to go just for survival. That's why I'm saying that he could just be going into the fight just trying to last rounds, because trying to survive.
I think Ortiz is gonna have to give him a reason to act like that, though. You know what I'm saying? If Ortiz don't put nothing on him,
maybe he just doesn't want to get knocked out like how he got knocked out against Ramirez.
Yeah,
we've seen this before. Certain fighters, when they've experienced certain things before, and they literally just think, you know what, I don't want to go for that experience anymore, so I'm going to change my style.
Right. Yeah, he's going to come in and try to. He's going to try to get something done offensively. He's going to try to get something done offensively. Like he's not going to come in there and just be running from the first bell. Thank you. He's not going to be running from the first bell. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Hooker actually approaches the first 2 to 3 rounds. You'll probably know the tone of the fight after the first 2 or 3 rounds. If he's, doing a lot of moving and clenching on the inside, he ain't really trying to do nothing. But if he picks gaps where he's really trying to throw some shots, we could have a little situation. And then Maurice Hooker's reach is massive. He has a massive reach. Is he going to use it? That's the thing. Is he going to use it? I don't think he's skilled enough to really use it on a consistent basis, me personally.
Not against Ortiz.
I just think, period.
Well, Hooker, I'll tell you something that you're probably going to agree with. And you're going to be like, wow, I've never thought of that. Or maybe I've thought of it. But when I see Hooker fight, for a tall fighter, he's one of the easiest guys to punch in between his shots. For someone so tall, it's so easy to punch in between his shots. I don't know why that is. But like, I just watch it and I was thinking,
I can answer that. I can answer that. And this is part of the reason why I'm not a huge fan of Maurice Hooker just inside of the ring. He seemed like a cool guy outside of the ring, but inside of the ring, this is why. If you ever watch a Hooker fight, how many times you seen him keep his head off the line?
Never.
His head is straight up and down. His head is straight up and down. It's straight down the center. The same reason Comey gets caught with them bang bang shots, Hooker gets caught with the same thing because you don't ever see him. You know
But
what I'm
his
saying?
arms are so long. That's what I find so crazy.
It don't matter. It don't matter that his arms is long. It don't matter because if he's not using angles with that reach, then he still can get touched because his head not moving. You see what I'm saying? His head not
Because
moving,
me
so it doesn't
personally,
matter.
he tries to mirror a lot of what Gerald McClellan does. You know, up and down, but really wiry and long, but still establish power with range.
Yeah.
But he gets hit in between his shots so much. Like for those who don't know what I mean when I mean hitting between the shots. So if I throw a jab, by the time I throw the right hand, he's getting hit in between those shots. So between me throwing one shot and another shot, even though it's at long range, I'm getting hit between the shots that I'm throwing, that's a very, very, very big problem for someone like Maurice Hooker.
Yeah, and the thing is like when you throw a jab, you're taught to throw a jab, move, jab,
get your head
move,
off the line.
Get your head off the line. Whenever he throws shots, he don't get his head off the line. He's so used to being tall. Okay. He's so used to, just being the taller guy. He feel like he can just get away. It's kind of like Fury. Like he has bad habits because he's just tall. Like he feel like nobody can reach him. But if you throwing a hook, you're supposed to, you know what I'm saying? You throw a hook, you cover the other side. You know what I'm saying? You throw a hook over here, you cover the other side. If you throw a uppercut or something like that, it should be followed by some type of defensive move. And a lot of times Maurice Hooker doesn't do that. Like he'll throw a jab in his head like this. He doesn't move his head. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why he gets caught in between shot. That's what got him in trouble in the Ramirez fight.
Yeah,
that's what got him in trouble. Yeah, that's what got him in trouble in the Ramirez fight. If he would have moved his head, if he kept his head off the line, he said he might have won that fight. But the thing was, he was losing the Saucedo fight.
Yeah,
he was losing the Saucedo fight because of that same thing.
Fight. Because of him getting hit in between the shots. Like,
yeah, but he was
moving. Fight.
But he was moving. He had more success when he started moving more. When he started moving around the ring more, and he just wasn't stationary, and he made Saucedo find him or make him go through a process to get to the front door. Like that's when he started having success. But with Maurice Hooker, it's like he's not a bad fighter. He's just, to me, he's not upper echelon guy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Another bad mistake he has for a tall fighter. He just doesn't keep his chin down. Like he's got a very long neck and just doesn't keep his chin down.
You know who keeps their chin down really good? That's a tall fighter. Robert Easter. He does a good job at that. Yeah, he does a really good job at that.
He's got another long neck, and you would expect him to get knocked out a lot because of how he trades a lot. But he always keeps his chin down, which he got the same mindset. I was thinking the same thing, Robert Easter.
Yeah, he keeps his chin tucked real good. And then for a taller fighter, they'll tell a taller fighter not to fight on the inside, take advantage of your reach. But the thing is, a taller fighter has to fight on the inside at some point. So I don't really mind it. It's just with a taller fighter, a lot of times they don't get leverage on their shots because they're the taller fighter and the guy that they're fighting is underneath them. So you have to learn how to throw from different angles and different launch points when you're the taller fighter. If you're the taller fighter and you can throw from different launch points, you can have success on the inside. If you see like somebody like Robert Easter Jr., you can see like he never gets his ass whipped on the inside.
No.
A lot of times he's actually getting the advantage. Like he beat Comey on the inside. On the inside. Like that was an inside fight. So he's a very good inside fighter. And Maurice Hooker, I just don't think he has those tools in the toolbox to really take advantage of the physical attributes that he has. he has Robert Easter's attributes, but I just think Robert Easter's, he's one of them guys, like, he can box, he just chooses not to. And Maurice Hooker is one of those guys where he doesn't have an option. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, he just has to go with what's working for him. But I think that's what's going to get him in trouble in this fight against Virgil Ortiz. But I got Virgil Ortiz in 8. What's your official prediction?
I'm gonna go Virgil Ortiz. Again, I feel like Hooker's gonna make sure he doesn't get knocked out, bro.
You think it's going 12?
I feel the more I think about it, I just feel like Hooker's gonna make sure he doesn't get knocked out. And I feel like if he does get stopped, he'll be late. I mean, like 10, 11. Because I also feel like from the round 1, Maurice Hooker's gonna run and hide and hug and hold and try and make the fight ugly. And I don't think Ortiz has the experience to know what to do in those positions. And Ortiz doesn't fight like a typical Mexican who fights dirty. He actually fights quite clean.
Yeah,
so because of that, he actually might get tired. And I feel like the middle rounds might be quite boring.
Yeah,
and I actually feel like it might go 11 or 10 rounds. Because if Hooker tries to trade, he'll get knocked out. He'll get knocked out soon. But I think he's going to come in just to go the distance. I literally feel like he's going to come in just to go the distance.
If it goes the distance, I would be surprised. I
don't think it will, but I feel that's the mentality Hooker's going to have. It's just going to be very negative. I've seen
I don't think he's going to do that early. Like, unless Ortiz hit him with something to give him a reason to. That's why I think it's so interesting.
What fight will we watching where we thought it was going to be a certain fight, and the guy just came out and he just literally just ran the whole fight? We were watching a fight sometime last year, I can't remember. You remember when we were off live? There was a fight we were watching and we thought it was going to be entertaining, and the guy literally just ran on the fight. He literally just ran.
Was that Jerry Forrest and what was the heavyweight fight? Remember we was watching it and there was a lot of running going on, and Andre Ward had that screwed up scorecard.
Was it Jerry Forrest?
Jerry Forrest, and it wasn't Jerry Forrest, and I forgot because he lost the fight. He lost the fight clear, and Andre Ward had Jerry Forrest winning the fight. He had him winning like the last 5 rounds, something crazy. I know that was one. That's probably not the fight you was talking about, but I know that was one of the fights where it was just like a bunch of moving going on. But it's gonna be interesting to see what Hooker does, because I don't know if Hooker's gonna come to fight. I like my prediction. If he's coming to survive, I like your prediction. But either way, he's going. Either way, he's going. Is the fight that I'm trying to remember the fight, and it's annoying because I can't remember. But the style that I would like to see from Ortiz, though, that I would actually like for him to deploy a front foot counterpuncher style, where you walk a fighter down, but you wait for them to lead, and then you counter. You just launch. He don't have enough patience for that yet. He's still a young pup. Think he can kill everything. He got the same. He basically got the same thing as Edgar Berlanga. He done knocked out everybody he been in the ring with, but his calling card is not that. That's Edgar Berlanga's calling card because he's done it all in the first round. You see what I'm saying?
I would literally try to deploy the Zerdo style, like wait for that guy to lead as soon as he needs, just get on the inside and.
That's a style that he needs to work on in the gym, and when he has to use it. But I think his style is pretty good.
That just come forward fighter style. Certain style fighters they won't work against. Guys who have quick feet on the outside. Right. I'm trying to think who's got really quick feet on the outside. Well, he's supposed to be fighting Crawford. If he fought Crawford with that style, he'll get knocked out. He'll actually get knocked out.
Yeah, Crawford stops Ortiz. Ain't no doubt in my mind he stops Ortiz, and I think he would stop him within 8.
I even think if he fought Boots like that and Boots tried to box him, I think Boots will stop Ortiz, because what you got to remember is Ortiz isn't used to getting hit back That's what you got to remember. He's not used to getting hit back.
Yeah,
So,
and he's right, and that's a perfect point because he's never had to go through a process where somebody's throwing with him or making him pay for something that he throws. And until he fights somebody like that before he gets to the Crawfords and the Boots, he's going to lose the Crawford and he's going to lose the Boots. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is.
You remember when Ruiz fought AJ, and I know in the first fight AJ got knocked out, but it's the same thing in the sense where Ruiz never really fought someone who's going to make him pay for his defensive mistakes, and AJ hit him with that money shot and he got dropped. You see my point?
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're right.
Certain fighters, they will make you pay for just being aggressive. They'll just make you pay every time you just walk through. Boom, boom, they'll just hit you with shots, and you'll end up gonna have to pay for it. Like I just try to remember, like, what's it called? Antonio Margarito. Like, you can't just be who else is there? Many Mexican fighters. Juan Manuel Marquez. Who else? Miguel Cotto. You can't just be coming forward and not defending yourself. And Virgil Ortiz has got that style right now. Anybody with quick feet, anyone with quick feet and can make you pay, they'll make you pay, and that's a problem. But Hooker, I don't think is that guy. I think Hooker will make him miss a lot in this fight. Just don't think he'll make him pay a lot in this fight.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. I don't. Maurice Hooker's going to have to take some chances to be successful in the fight, and Ortiz is the wrong guy to be taking chances against, especially coming up from 140 to 147. But we got a whole bunch of fights going on today. We got to actually go so we can actually start covering. But VP, you got any final thoughts, and give them your social media, bro?
No final thoughts. Just looking forward to these fights, man. I'm looking forward to, especially Glowacki versus Okolie. That's probably the fight I'm looking forward to the most. Purely and simply, not even because I'm in England, but I just want to see. It's a world title fight, isn't it? So I want to see that fight. Beterbiev Brace, Beterbiev, Deines or Deines, however you pronounce his name. That's gonna be. I just love watching Beterbiev fight because he's just so aggressive. And then Hooker and Ortiz, you know, it's a brilliant fight.
Right.
3 good fights. I think they're all coming at different times. I'm hoping the Beterbiev and Okolie fights different. But yeah, that's it, man. I'm Shane on Instagram, and man, just keep it popping.
Yeah, and we got it on the screen right now. Go follow the VP over on Instagram. I_am Shane, the number 1. Definitely follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everything's G5FTV. We got a big lineup for next week. Once we finalize dates and times, we'll give you names, dates and times at that point. But if you're not following us, definitely go follow us so you can be on the need to know basis. And we got a great day of fights, man. So on behalf of the VP Shane, big shout out to the General, BoxingFirst Vlog, aka Blunt Bayless. Big shout out to the big homie. And yours truly, G5 Jeff TV. We are out.